Hey plant lovers, welcome back to Plants Viso. Today we're diving into 7 houseplants that actually thrive when you leave them alone. You've been here before. You brought a plant home, you set a reminder on your phone, you watered it every few days like the little tag said, and it still turned to mush at the base. Or you went away for 2 weeks, came back, and found crispy brown leaves and soil pulled away from the sides of the pot. Most plants punish you in both directions. Too much attention, too little attention, and you lose either way. These 7 plants are different. These 7 plants would honestly prefer you forget about them. They store their own water, they handle rooms with almost no sun, and they'll sit there quietly for weeks while you live your actual life. Before we get started, if you're enjoying this content, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Number 1, the ZZ plant, the indestructible beauty. Its botanical name is Zamioculcas zamiifolia, which is a mouthful, so everybody just calls it the ZZ. Here's the fact that surprises most people. Underneath the soil, this plant grows fat little storage organs called rhizomes. A rhizome is basically an underground potato that holds water and food. That's the whole secret. When you skip watering, the ZZ just quietly drinks from its own pantry and keeps going. That's why it belongs on this list. It's not tolerating neglect, it's built for it. In the wild, it deals with long dry seasons in eastern Africa, so a few forgotten weeks in your living room mean nothing to it. What you'll see is a set of arching stems lined with thick, glossy leaves, so shiny people constantly ask if it's fake. Most stay around 2 to 3 feet tall indoors. There's also a variety called Raven that comes out bright green and darkens to near black as it matures. It costs a bit more, and it's worth it if you like drama in a corner. Care is simple. Put it anywhere from a dim hallway to a spot with bright indirect light, which just means light that fills the room without the sun hitting the leaves directly. Water it every 3 to 4 weeks, and only when the top 2 inches of soil are dry all the way through. It's happy between 65 and 85 degrees, and it does not care about humidity at all. One thing to watch for: yellow leaves on a ZZ almost always mean too much water, not too little. If the stems ever look wrinkled or slightly soft in a good way, like a drooping celery stalk, that's thirst, and that takes months to happen. Money-saving tip: a 6-inch ZZ usually runs $15 to $35. Don't buy a second one. When you repot, pull the plant out and gently separate the rhizomes into 2 or 3 clumps, each with its own stems, and pot them up separately. You can also snap off a single leaf, stick the cut end in water, and wait. It's slow, sometimes 3 or 4 months, but a little rhizome forms at the bottom and you've got a brand new plant for nothing. Number 2, the snake plant, the upright survivor. Botanists moved it from Sansevieria to Dracaena trifasciata a few years back, so you'll see both names on tags, and both are the same plant. Let me bust a myth here. You've heard it cleans all the air in your bedroom overnight. That came from a NASA study done in a sealed chamber, and to get that effect in a real room, you'd need dozens of plants. It's a great plant. It's just not an air purifier. Here's why it belongs here. The snake plant keeps the tiny pores on its leaves closed during the day and opens them at night, when the air is cooler and damper. That means it loses far less water than a normal plant, so a full pot can coast for a month without a drink. The classic one has tall, stiff, sword-shaped leaves with pale green banding, 3 to 4 feet tall. Laurenti has bright yellow edges. Moonshine is a soft, silvery green. And if you want something small, the bird's nest type stays under 8 inches and fits on a bookshelf. Care is easy. It'll take a dark corner or a sunny window, though it grows faster with good light. Water every 3 to 4 weeks in summer and every 6 to 8 weeks in winter. 60 to 85 degrees is fine, and dry indoor air is no problem. Here's a care tip that saves you trouble. If the base of the leaves goes soft and mushy, that's rot from water sitting too long, and you need to cut the healthy top portion off and start it over. Brown, crispy tips usually come from letting it swing between bone dry and soaked, so just keep your watering spaced evenly. Money-saving angle. Expect $10 to $25 for a decent-sized pot. Then multiply it. Cut a leaf into 3-inch sections, let the cut ends dry overnight, and push them upright into soil. Or split the whole root ball with a bread knife. Fair warning, leaf cuttings from a yellow-edged variety come back plain green, so if you want to keep those yellow stripes, divide the plant instead. Number 3. Pothos. The trailing workhorse. Epipremnum aureum is the name, and the nickname Devil's Ivy exists purely because people couldn't kill it. Here's something most viewers never hear. That little 6-inch heart-shaped leaf isn't the plant's real form. In the jungle, it climbs tree trunks, and the leaves get up to 3 feet across with deep splits in them. Why it works for this video is simple. The leaves are thick and waxy, so they hold moisture, and the plant tells you exactly when it's thirsty. The vines go soft and droop, you water it, and within a few hours it's back up like nothing happened. It forgives you out loud. Golden pothos has that yellow marbling. Marble queen is heavily cream and white. Neon is a shocking chartreuse that glows in a dim room. Vines will run 6 to 10 feet if you let them, and you can absolutely let them. Care is simple. Bright, indirect light gives you the best variegation, but it survives in low light with plainer leaves. Water when the top inch feels dry, which lands around every 7 to 10 days for most homes. 65 to 85 degrees, average humidity, nothing special. Yellow leaves down at the base mean it's staying too wet. Crispy brown edges mean it went too dry for too long. Pale, washed-out leaves mean the sun is hitting it directly. And don't be afraid to trim it back hard when it gets leggy. It comes back fuller every time. Money-saving bonus. A pothos costs $8 to $15, and it's the cheapest plant multiplier you will ever own. Cut a piece with 2 or 3 leaves, make sure there's a node on it, which is that little brown bump where a leaf meets the vine, and put it in a glass of water. Roots in 2 to 3 weeks. Every trim you make is a free plant, and trading rooted cuttings with friends is how a lot of people fill an entire apartment without spending another dollar. Number 4. The cast iron plant, named for its toughness. Aspidistra elacer, and yes, the common name is the honest one. This plant got famous in Victorian parlors, back when homes were lit by gas lamps that coated everything in soot and fumes. Nearly every houseplant of the era died. This one didn't, and it earned its reputation the hard way. The mechanism here is patience. It grows extremely slowly and pushes energy into a tough underground rhizome, so it isn't burning through water, trying to make new leaves every week. Slow growth is the whole reason it can ignore you. You get deep green strap-shaped leaves rising straight out of the soil, usually 15 to 24 inches tall. There's a variety called Milky Way with white speckles across the leaves that looks like a night sky, and a few striped types if you want something less plain. Care is straightforward. Low light is genuinely fine, and direct sun will scorch it, so keep it back from the window. Water every 2 to 3 weeks once the top 2 inches are dry. It handles anything from 50 to 85 degrees, which makes it great for a chilly entryway or a drafty apartment. Brown tips on a cast iron plant usually point to mineral buildup from tap water. Let your water sit out overnight, or use filtered and flush the pot in the sink a few times a year. Yellowing leaves mean the roots are sitting wet. Money-saving benefit. This one runs $20 to $40, more than the others, and that's purely because the grower waited years for it to reach that size. Here's the great part. Once it fills its pot, lift the whole thing, cut the rhizome into sections with 3 or 4 leaves each, and pot them up. One purchase turns into 3 plants, and those 3 keep dividing every few years. Number 5. The ponytail palm. Not a palm at all. Bocarnea recurvata is actually a succulent, closer to agave than to any palm tree, and it comes from the dry hills of eastern Mexico. People buy it thinking it needs tropical care, then drown it within a month. Look at the base and you'll understand why it's on this list. That swollen bulb at the bottom is called a caudex, which is just a thickened trunk that works as a water tank. A mature one can go 2 or 3 months without a drink and never flinch. Above that bulb, you get a fountain of thin curling leaves spilling outward. Small ones sit around 12 inches on a desk. Indoors, over many years, it can reach 4 feet, and it keeps that sculptural shape the whole time. Care is simple. Give it the brightest spot you have, and a few hours of direct sun is welcome. Water every 3 to 4 weeks in summer and once a month or less in winter, and when you do, soak it fully and let it drain. 60 to 80 degrees, and dry air is exactly what it wants. Here's a care secret. Brown crispy tips on the leaf ends are normal on this plant and don't mean anything is wrong. Just trim them at an angle with scissors and move on. What you actually watch for is a base that feels soft or squishy instead of firm. That's rot, and that's overwatering. Money-saving reality. A small one is $15 to $30, while a big specimen with a thick trunk can run past $80. Buy the small one. These live for decades, and you'll enjoy watching the base fatten up year after year. Older plants also push out pups around the base, and once a pup has its own roots, you can cut it away and pot it separately. Number 6. The Chinese evergreen. Color without the fuss. The genus is a Glionema. And here's a piece of history most people don't know. For a long time, these came only in green and silver. Growers in Thailand spent decades crossbreeding them, and that's where all the pink and red varieties you see today came from. This plant works for our topic because of where it evolved. It grows on the shaded floor of tropical forests, under a heavy canopy, so it's genuinely adapted to dim conditions instead of merely surviving them. It also holds moisture well in those broad leaves. Silver Bay gives you wide leaves brushed with pale silver. Maria stays a deep, quiet green. Red Siam and Pink Dalmatian bring in hot pink veins and splashes. Most reach 1 to 3 feet tall and grow into a full bushy shape rather than a vine. Care is easy. Medium to low indirect light for the green types, and a bit brighter for the pink and red ones, since they need more light to keep their color. Water every 10 to 14 days when the top inch is dry. Keep it above 60 degrees because cold is the one thing it truly dislikes. Yellow leaves usually mean cold air or soggy soil. Brown papery edges mean the air is very dry, so move it away from a heating vent. Curling leaves mean it's thirsty. Money-saving strategy. Green varieties go for $12 to $30 and the red ones cost more. Instead of buying a second, take a stem cutting with a few leaves, strip the bottom leaf, and root it in water over about a month. Better yet, when your plant gets crowded and starts sending up separate shoots from the soil, pull it apart at repotting time. Each shoot with roots attached is a whole new plant. Number 7. The Hoya. The patient bloomer. Hoya carnosa is the common one, also called the wax plant. And the first time it flowers, you'll swear the blooms are plastic. They come in tight round clusters that look like little porcelain stars, and some varieties smell like chocolate at night. Here's why it thrives on neglect. Hoyas are epiphytes, which means in nature they grow clinging to tree branches instead of in soil. Their roots are used to drying out completely between rains, and they actively resent being fussed over. They also hate being repotted, so leaving one crowded in the same pot for years is the correct move. The leaves are thick and semi-succulent, and vines will trail 6 to 8 feet. Crimson Queen has creamy white edges that blush pink in good light. The Hindu rope has bizarre twisted curled leaves stacked along the stem, and it's a conversation starter every single time. Care is moderate, bright indirect light with an hour or two of gentle morning sun if you want flowers. Water every 2 to 3 weeks and let the pot go fully dry in between. 60 to 85 degrees, and while it appreciates humidity, it does perfectly fine without it. Yellow leaves mean the roots stayed wet. Shriveled leaves mean you waited a little too long. And if it isn't blooming, the plant may simply need more light and more age, usually 2 to 3 years. This part matters. After the flowers fade, do not cut off the little bare stub they grew from. That stub is called a spur, and the plant reblooms from the exact same spot every year. Money-saving approach. Common Hoyas run $15 to $35, and the rare ones climb fast, which is exactly why cuttings are valuable. Take a piece of vine with 2 nodes and a couple of leaves, root it in water for 3 or 4 weeks, and you've made something people genuinely want. Hoya cuttings are one of the best trading currencies in the plant world, and you can turn one plant into a shelf full of things you never paid for. Now let me give you a few rules that make all of this easier. First, the pot matters more than the plant. Every single one of these needs a drainage hole, no exceptions, and terracotta helps if you know you're a heavy hand with the watering can. Use plastic if you know you forget. Second, throw out the watering schedule and use your finger. Push it into the soil up to your first knuckle. If it's damp, walk away and check again in a week. Your home in February is not your home in July, and the plant knows the difference even if the calendar doesn't. Third, resist repotting. Almost all of these plants do better slightly crowded, and fresh soil in an oversized pot stays wet in the middle where you can't feel it. Go up one pot size and only every 2 or 3 years. And fourth, go easy on fertilizer. A diluted dose once in spring and once in midsummer is plenty. These are slow, steady plants, and pushing them with food just gives you weak, floppy growth. So there you have it. 7 houseplants that genuinely do better when you stop hovering. The ZZ plant, the snake plant, pothos, the cast iron plant, the ponytail palm, the Chinese evergreen, and the hoya. Fill your home with these, and the guilt disappears. You'll travel without arranging a plant sitter, you'll skip a week without consequences, and every single one of them hands you free plants along the way. All right, plant friends. If you found this helpful, subscribe to Plants Viso for more low-maintenance plant guides and budget-friendly growing tips. Drop a comment and let me know the longest you've ever gone without watering a plant and had it forgive you. And what topics would you like to see next? Hit that like button if you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and here's to a house full of green things that don't need you hovering. I'll see you in the next one.